What it do, baby? Oh. I hope that phrase isn't like, what is it called? Trademarked or copyrighted, because can I get sued? Hi everyone, my name is Chantel, and the saying that I have on this channel is life is short, so thanks for taking the time out of yours to watch this video. I know I got a haircut, well, mainly bangs. I haven't done this since I was like 8 years old, and I was like, you know, I'm a grown-up, I won't look 12, but here I am looking 10 years old. Life regrets. Alright boys and girls, today I will be talking about language barrier when you go study abroad. I know I always say thank you, but thanks to everybody who messaged me about this particular topic. It was actually, I think, the first question I got when I came back from Korea. So ask and you shall receive, am I right? Did I have to know Korean to go to Korea? Or do I have to know the language of the country that I'm going to? The simple answer is no, but I will go into it further. I will try to move chronologically, so from my experience like here at home to when I was in Korea and then when I came home. So back then, or in the past, exchange programs for international students only would work out for people who would benefit from it. So for example, let's say you're studying Spanish or you're studying Russian. The partnerships that universities had were only for those countries. But it's different now. Because of internationalization, globalization, global communications and stuff, the government just thought it would be a great idea just to allow universities to have partnerships with any country, because it's really good for the economy. It's really good for, I mentioned in my other video, world peace, and just kind of working together to unite the world. My university actually didn't offer Korean as a language course. If you haven't watched my other videos, I will leave a link up here. It'll be like a white bar, shameless plug. But in those videos, I talked about how I actually didn't know anything about Korea or the Korean language at all, like the culture. And most people would think, shouldn't you know a little bit about the country you're going to? In order for the school to allow you to go. It usually is the case, but I actually used the fact that I didn't know anything for my interview and it went well. I don't know anything about this country, so isn't the best way for me to learn to actually go? So you're probably thinking, Shan, how the heck did you survive then? I decided, since I didn't know anything, that I didn't want to be completely lost while I was in a country by myself. So I took it upon myself to learn Korean in my own time. So if you have followed my series about the process it took me to get to Korea, I started the process around February and I went in September, and this was of 2019. So when I got accepted, I took the summer before I left to kind of do a little bit of my own research. So I did things like, honestly, I went on YouTube and searched basic Korean. I also went on Google. I'll see if I can find the links and put them down in the description. And then I actually had friends who have went abroad before, and they told me about apps on your phone that you can use. So I used Duolingo to try and learn as well. I tried to learn the Korean letters, which is called Hangul. I spent the entire 11 to 14 hours. I forgot how long the plane ride was, but I spent the entire plane ride just learning on the app in between meals and sleep. I really recommend the app Papago. It doesn't just have Korean. There's other languages that you can translate between English and whatever language. So there's Russian, Thai, there's Chinese, so Mandarin or Cantonese. Pretty sure there's French. There's a list. There's also a tab for photo, which was really useful because I would use that in the moment for menus at cafes or restaurants. I would use it for signs. You are also able to import from your photo library and your media on your phone. So sometimes if I got an email that was written in Korean and there was no English, then I would just screenshot it and then it would highlight the Korean letters, the Hangul. I was also really lucky. The first couple days, I actually had a friend from high school who was already in Korea. She also went to the same university. So she kind of took me under her wing the first day and a half. but there was a day that I was alone before I went on campus, and that was kind of a nightmare. I ran into some people who were speaking to me in Korean, and I had no idea what they were saying, and I had no idea how to say, "I'm sorry, I don't know how to speak Korean." It was really funny. I will just tell you a quick story. I was getting out of my Airbnb on the day that I was moving to my dorm, and the Airbnb was actually owned by a businessman in his 30s, but his parents were the ones who were kind of running the actual building. And so the mother, she was a little bit older, probably in her 60s, maybe 70s, she was cleaning the apartment under me, and she heard me getting out of my unit. And so I was holding 2 big luggages, and I was trying to bring them down the stairs because this place actually didn't have an elevator. And she was talking to me in Korean, and she was trying to tell me that I will grab the top, like the handlebar, and then she will grab the wheels, and we'll go down the stairs together. And I did not understand her for the life of me for like 5 minutes. She was using body language to tell me, and we finally got down the stairs, but she was laughing and talking to me in Korean, and then she understood, I guess, towards the end that I didn't know how to speak because I wasn't replying to anything that she was saying. And I mean, the only thing that I could say to her was 감사합니다, which means thank you. So it was so funny. But you are probably also going to experience some situations where people will get angry or frustrated, or may even give you personal attacks because you don't know language. Just an editing Shan moment in my bathrobe, don't judge me. But I just forgot to add, and I wanted to say that, you know, if you ever experience somebody getting angry or mad at you for not knowing a language, it's okay to feel frustrated and upset and mad in the moment, but I hope that you don't take it to heart, because their reaction shows more of a reflection of themselves and their negative behavior than it does of you. And you can't control what other people say or do or react, but you can control how you react and deal with it afterwards. And I hope that you just change and turn it into a learning experience, and a positive learning experience at that. But yes, I just again wanted to emphasize that it's okay to be frustrated and mad, and to, you know, share a few angry words with that person in the moment, because you are human too. But hopefully you turn it into a learning experience, and for you to be better in the future. I know sometimes it's hard to be the bigger person, but sometimes it just puts you more at ease, and don't take it personally what the person is saying to you when they're mad. In terms of how language is on campus, the school that I went to was an international school, so they were obligated to have everything in English. So emails, even posters around campus, or like notices, were all in 3 languages. There was Korean, Japanese, and English. So although we would get really long emails, or we'd get a really long notice, literally sometimes it would be 2 pages of just a simple message, I was lucky enough that there was English on my campus. Yeah, all the conversations I had with my professors, whether it was email or in person, they were in English. Majority of the students at my school spoke English because, again, it's an international school. Sometimes they would talk slower because they're still learning as well. And then there was Koreans or people from other countries that didn't know that much English. And you have to be okay with that, and you have to be patient and kind, and like, don't push them, don't force them, or sometimes you don't have to be their friend. I was lucky that all the friends I made actually spoke pretty good Korean. So I just want to shout out my friends who helped me so much. Christina from Sweden, Zane from Latvia, Taida from Slovenia, and Anna from Hungary. You guys literally saved me. On campus, we had the International Student Organization, which is student run. It's basically Korean students that go to the university who also know English. So I'm not sure if other universities around the world offer that, but I'm pretty sure that they do. And of course, I'm in a country for 5 months. I should try to learn Korean anyways. So besides learning and picking up words from like friends, so like slang, and just words that people use a lot, like yes and no. I decided to take a survival Korean language course while I was there. This was amazing because it really truly taught you things that you would need on a day-to-day basis. Food items, we learned how to count, we learned how to order, we learned clothing, learned like small talk between friends, like, oh, what are you doing today? People were also asking me like, can you survive not knowing any Korean while you're in Korea? I would say kind of like 50-50. Transportation was really good with English. The sound, so like this station is City Hall. Then it would say it in Korean and Japanese. Most tourist places around Korea, they did have people that spoke English, but sometimes when you go do things that are more local, which I feel is the best kind of experience when you're going abroad, like an old person who owns a small little shop, or like a restaurant that's been owned by a family for decades, they usually don't really know English, and so it would be kind of like a disservice not to know the language if you truly want to experience what the country has to offer besides just the tourist places. One thing that I do recommend, especially in Asia, is learning etiquette in terms of like honoring your boss or your superiors or people older than you, because although you might not agree with it, it is their culture and it is respect, and so don't forget to have that. There was sometimes that there was things I wasn't used to, and I was kind of like, oh, they'll understand because I'm a foreigner, but at the same time, I think you should also respect their culture and their societal rules. Try to learn them, understand them, and actually use them. With regard to my experience coming back home, one thing that I love is, since I've learned the basics of Korean, whenever I miss Korea and I want to eat the food, I either go to a restaurant, pick up some food, or I will go to grocery stores and try to make it myself at home. I started to use some of the language and etiquette when I go to those places. So proper hellos and goodbyes when you're going to a store. One time I even ordered in Korean at a Korean restaurant before COVID happened, and the workers were super impressed, and they love it when you tell them that you go study abroad in their country. One girl was working at a Korean restaurant, she was my age, and I told her, I was like, hey look, I studied abroad in Korea. I learned how to order food. Can I practice? Like, see if, can you tell me as a Korean person, tell me if I am doing this correctly? And I ordered and she was super impressed, and then she gave me free drinks. So you never know what can happen when you show that you love and appreciate other people's cultures. I think the difference of cultures is beautiful and it's worth it to learn, and that's why I've been super obsessed with traveling or wanting to travel since I was a kid. And it's also impressive too because like sometimes my friends or people I haven't talked to in a really long time, they'll ask me, oh, do you know how to speak Korean? It's like, I only know how to speak a little bit, like small sentences, I know words, and I can read Korean now. And I just love, sometimes I mean, this might sound ignorant for myself as an Asian. Before I went to Korea, I couldn't tell the difference between Japanese, Korean, or the Chinese, Mandarin, or Cantonese language. When I went abroad and then came back, I can actually like pick out, oh my gosh, I know that person's speaking Korean. Or like sometimes there's things that I'll see just like on social media or things like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Korean, I know how to read that now. I think that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Thank you for watching this long video. I hope you have a great day. I know COVID has been really hard on everybody, but I'm just sending you positive vibes, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya!